Welcome to this Urgent Explainer. We're jumping straight into an unprecedented real-time collision today. We're talking frontier AI, sweeping government regulation, and the trillion-dollar public markets all smashing together at once. It is literally the biggest tech event we've seen in decades, and it's unfolding right now.
Okay, let's dive into this because you really have to imagine the shock here. You wake up, grab your coffee, log into your developer dashboard, and bam, the most powerful AI on the planet has just been turned off. No beta test, no warning email, just a hard global blackout. We're talking millions of users who just dropped $200 on max plans, suddenly finding their access completely revoked. Let's rapidly run through this timeline because the pacing here is just insane. On June 9th, Anthropic launches its highly anticipated Fable 5 and the restricted Mythos 5 models. Huge deal, right? Well, just 3 days later at 5:21 p.m. Eastern, the U.S. Commerce Department drops a massive export control directive. The result? By that very night, a total global blackout. Anthropic literally had to cut off all foreign nationals, even their own employees, because they couldn't reliably filter out specific users in real time. The entire model just became globally inaccessible. So what actually triggered this massive federal hammer? Well, officially, the government cited a national security concern over a cyber vulnerability. Essentially, an alleged jailbreak that allowed the model to read a code base and find software flaws. But Anthropic pushed back hard on this. They argued this was just a minor, known vulnerability. They even pointed out, hey, other public models like OpenAI's GPT 5.5 can achieve the exact same tasks.
And here's the kicker, the part that made developers absolutely furious: the invisible degradation. Anthropic's own system card estimated that a tiny fraction, just 0.03% of user traffic, would even trigger these hidden frontier LLM development safeguards. Yet, the entire global developer community got locked out. But this wasn't just about a sudden Commerce Department directive.
Section 1, the Pentagon clash, where the tension really began. To truly grasp this blackout, we actually have to rewind a bit. Tensions were already at an absolute boiling point long before this June shutdown. What we have here is a fundamental ideological conflict playing out on the national stage. On one side, Anthropic flat out refused to compromise its safe use principles. They specifically banned their models from being used for lethal autonomous weapons or for the mass surveillance of Americans. Fair enough, right? But on the other side, the Department of War had a strict mandate. They require all lawful uses of AI, and they absolutely refuse to give a private Silicon Valley vendor veto power over military operational decisions. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how fast a boardroom negotiation escalated into a full-blown geopolitical flashpoint. This post from President Trump led to an immediate federal government-wide ban on using Anthropic technology.
The legal war that followed was completely unprecedented. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth officially designated Anthropic, an American company, mind you, a supply chain risk. That is a label usually reserved for foreign adversaries. He even threatened to use the Defense Production Act. But then, federal judge Rita F. Lynn struck back. She granted an injunction against the ban, calling it classic First Amendment retaliation. You had tech giants filing amicus briefs describing the government's move as attempted corporate murder. Wow.
Section 2, National Security versus Open Science. Two sides of a fractured ecosystem. We have two deeply polarized views on why this June blackout really happened, and it's absolutely vital we look objectively at both sides here. So the US government, they see a very real existential threat. They fear autonomous AI-enabled cyber weapons. In fact, it was reported that the NSA is actively using Mythos for offensive cyber ops. For Washington, AI capability must have a hard national security ceiling. But flip over to the global developer community, and the frustration is just boiling over. They're seeing this silent model degradation, and they fear that the concentration of AI power is the true risk. Honestly, a lot of developers suspect this blackout is just political retaliation masked as public safety.
This quote right here from the Pentagon CIO is absolutely fascinating because it introduces the massive so what factor. The government isn't just dropping a regulatory hammer. They're dropping it smack in the middle of the most explosive financial stakes in modern history.
Section 3, the trillion-dollar S1s, the biggest tech event since Facebook. So the crucial point is how this high-level government showdown directly collides with Wall Street. Because while Anthropic's core product was getting banned, they were quietly filing their paperwork to go public. And guys, these target IPO valuations are staggering. We are talking about OpenAI seeking an $852 billion valuation and Anthropic aiming for an earth-shattering $965 billion. These aren't just large numbers. These are two companies racing to the public markets at mind-boggling valuations that completely rival legacy tech giants. $47 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. That is Anthropic's annualized revenue run rate as of their June 1st confidential S-1 filing. That's a massive 5x increase in under 12 months. Unbelievable. When you actually compare their SEC filings side by side, you see two completely different economic paths. OpenAI filed back on May 22nd, showing $13.1 billion in 2025 revenue, but, and this is a big but, they have a staggering $22 billion cash burn rate. Meanwhile, Anthropic filed just days later, boasting that $47 billion ARR and reportedly achieved their first operating profit in Q1 of 2026. Investors are definitely going to heavily scrutinize OpenAI's massive burn rate against Anthropic's newfound profitability. We're right in the middle of the great IPO summer of 2026. SpaceX just priced their IPO and closed up over 19%, proving that institutional appetite for these frontier companies is absolutely ravenous right now. But think about the timing. Anthropic is trying to navigate this historic public debut at the exact moment the US government has forced their flagship product offline. Section 4, a fractured AI future. The death of open frontier AI. So, what does this unprecedented collision actually mean for the tech landscape going forward? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the illusion of a borderless tech ecosystem is officially dead. Developers are rapidly shifting to local, open source models. International users are waking up to the reality that relying on US-based AI infrastructure is a major risk. And with the White House now weighing mandatory pre-release reviews, there's a very real fear that all high-risk AI will soon require federal clearance before it ever reaches your laptop. The era of global open frontier AI has been abruptly replaced by sovereign AI walled gardens. Advanced AI is now being treated as a strategic military asset. Nations around the globe are suddenly realizing, hey, we can't rely on Silicon Valley. They're going to be forced to build their own independent, heavily guarded AI infrastructure. So I want to leave you with this. In a world of sovereign AI, where governments can literally pull the plug on trillion-dollar technology overnight, who really controls the intelligence? We just witnessed a massive geopolitical shift, and the ripple effects, they're only just beginning. Let me know what you think about this new reality in the comments, and keep exploring.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.